Welcome to the Summit Maize Research Station in Zimbabwe, Africa, where we work to improve the livelihoods of smallholder farmers through developing and deploying improved maize technologies. Along with conservation agriculture, a prime technology that will assist farmers achieve higher yields, is the adoption of improved varieties. Summit has been developing improved varieties in maize for over 25 years in Africa through conventional breeding methods. A basic component of maize breeding is controlling the pollination of plants. Maize is uniquely created with the male and female flowers on different plant parts. This makes for relatively easy management of pollination. The male flower, commonly called the tassel, is at the apex of the plant, while a female flower, commonly called the ear, is located midway up the plant on the stem. Maize is normally cross-pollinated, but through the processes of repeated self-pollination, careful selection for yield and stress tolerance, and controlled cross-pollination, hybrid varieties may be developed that provide seeds that perform better than land races or open-pollinated varieties. The process of self-pollination of maize by hand is illustrated in this clip. A key aspect of maize breeding is the identification of plants in the field. Without maintaining the identity of plants and seed, it would be impossible to breed maize. We use labels attached to the plants or rows of plants to indicate the nursery identity, entry number, and pedigree. These identities are maintained on computer files and serve to ensure that the right pollinations take place in the field. In a typical breeding program, there may be as many as 20,000 rows of plants to be self-pollinated or cross-pollinated. The next important requirement for maize breeding is to have the tools of the trade. These include workwear, an apron with pockets, and the shoot bags, pollination bags, paper clips, and staplers to carry out the task of pollination. These pollination bags should be made of fairly heavy gauge paper with waterproof glue seams, so that if they get wet from rain or irrigation, they will not disintegrate. With the plants properly labeled and the technicians fully kitted out, the process of self-pollination may begin. The starting point is to cover the ears of the plants before the silks have emerged. This is called shoot bagging and involves placing a cellophane packet over the ear as soon as the ear has emerged from the sheath and before the silks have emerged. This is a quick operation, and a few people can cover a large number of plants in a short space of time. Shoot bagging is usually done in a number of days before pollen shedding. The technician then waits and watches the field. When the tassels begin shedding pollen and the silks have fully emerged, the next stage in hand pollination may begin. Pollination bags are labeled to identify the kind of pollination that takes place. A pollination bag may have an X with a circle around it to indicate that it is a self-pollination. HS to indicate half sib pollination. It may also have an FS to indicate full sib pollination, and it may have an X with a number to indicate that it has been crossed from another plot or plant. The technician takes the pollen bag out of his apron with one hand and with the other takes hold of the tassel. The pollen bag is then placed over the tassel and folded at the bottom so as to prevent any pollen from falling out of the bag. A paper clip is fastened to the folded bag to hold the bag in place on the plant. This putting up of paper bags is usually done the day before pollination, so that any contaminant pollen on the tassel will have died by the time pollination takes place the following day. Thus, pollen bags stay up overnight. The following day, once the air temperatures have warmed up by mid-morning, pollination may begin. The technician checks that pollen is shedding on the neighboring plants before pollinating. The bag on the tassel is shaken to collect the pollen, carefully removed and folded over to prevent any foreign pollen from entering the bag. Then, in one swift and flowing movement, the shoot bag is removed from the ear and the pollen bag placed over the ear and shaken to cause the pollen to pour onto the silks. The packet is folded around the stem and stapled to keep it in place. This is necessary because the packet has to remain on the plant until harvest, a period of a few months. The pollination of individual plants is a short operation of a few minutes. But when there are many thousands of plants to pollinate, a number of technicians are required. These are usually organized into teams, each with clear instructions on what kinds of pollinations are required in each nursery, whether selfing, sibbing, or cross-pollinating. Usually, the kind of pollination is also indicated on the pollen bags, with the date of pollination written with a pen, so that at harvest the breeder will know what was done in the field. Once the pollination job has been done, little remains until harvest, except to make selections according to the objectives of the nursery. In a nursery of segregating plants, the packets on disease-susceptible or lodged plants may be removed before harvest. At harvest, the pollen bag is removed, the cob is extracted from the sheath and placed either at the foot of the plant or at the front of the plot. If a row of plants are segregating, it is helpful to place the cob at the foot of each plant, so that the cob may be selected or discarded depending on the characteristics of the plant. If the row is an advanced generation, then the cobs may be bulked at the front of the plot, and final selection of cobs made on cob characteristics. Fully pollinated, disease-free cobs with the desired grain characteristics are selected. Cobs are collected up together with the label, placed in a secure bag, and transported to the seed laboratory for further processing. In the laboratory, cobs are shelled by hand and placed in plastic boxes or paper bags for storage. The label is maintained with each sample, and each box or packet containing the seed is labeled carefully. Finally, seed is placed in the cold room for storage until the next planting season, when it is taken out according to seed preparation plans, and the cycle continues.